Good morning and welcome. Thank you all for coming. What a great turnout. I hope we'll have some interesting thoughts and reflections for you in this morning's presentation. A quote from one large broadcast organisation. Probably all of us realise this now, but delivering to new media platforms, digital deliveries, all of those things is not something any of us can avoid or decide we're only going to do a little bit of. The way the technology works today, our consumers will drive new consumption channels, new delivery platforms. They will pop up and you'll have to be present on them in order to sustain your business. Thinking that we can carry on running businesses on any of our traditional delivery platforms is not going to support a business long term. So we have to work out how to deal with an ever-increasing, ever more complicated landscape of digital delivery platforms without ending up with extravagant costs to support all of them. There is some good news in there. A lot of technology does exist, and this morning we have a presentation from 4 technology companies and one consultant who helps put these things together to talk about some of those technologies and how they can help and how they can be brought together to help you deal with these problems. The speed at which the technology is changing, both in the supplier side, the tools that you have available to achieve this, but also those platforms that you have to support, is very, very fast, much faster than anything certainly I can remember in my lifetime making television. And dealing with that rate of change is probably a bigger problem than any one of the technological problems that we're dealing with. And we'll touch on that a bit later. The way we believe to deliver true profitability using these platforms is to embrace them, but to work out mechanisms, work out processes and procedures to not multiply your costs with each new one that you add. It's very easy, and I do see in many, many organisations a little department springing up for each new platform that you're trying to serve with its own costs and with its own complexities and things. And you can see that drawing away the profitability that that platform is supposed to generate. Each of these platforms has an increasingly small margin of the business and therefore an increasingly small revenue associated with it. And you need to have much more efficient ways of delivering to it. And we're really going to focus on that in this morning's presentation. And we're going to talk about how that can be achieved. I've got 5 key points that we'll keep coming back to throughout the presentation that we think are key to helping you achieve this. And we'll run through all of the different presentations you're going to see. The first one is a discussion about the nature of the content that you're going to repurpose. Not just the technical quality, but the production quality and content that you put in needs to be appropriate for that repurposing you're going to do downstream. And there'll be a lot of discussion about what it is you put in at the top end of the process in order to be able to achieve repurposing automatically at the tail end. We may bore you this morning repeating a theme that it's metadata that allows you to automate the repurposing. We're going to talk a lot about the ways of gathering and maintaining metadata with your production process as the media flows through a complex environment, and how that is key to being able to use those media assets at the end of the process. And we'll put some examples on that and show you how that can be done at various parts in the process. As I've already touched on, a key element is going to be making sure that you have common processes wherever possible and you don't multiply out silos, we call them, different departments doing each of those different media platforms. And wherever possible, you get one function regrouped that is common to all of those platforms. We'll talk a lot about the integration of different tools. I mentioned the speed at which you need to cope with change. You need to be reworking your system almost continuously. And we'll have some examples about how this affects the flow of an organisation later. this requires you to have sophisticated integration. It's very, very difficult to buy a single complete solution that does everything today and maintain it for even a small number of years without it failing to deliver to one or other of the new platforms that you've got to address. So you've got to be able to integrate new components, integrate new processes, change the way things happen very quickly. So the way you integrate your system, the way you integrate components, and you can go out and buy best-of-breed products from different manufacturers to do different jobs very quickly and integrate them into an efficient workflow is key to getting the whole thing flowing smoothly. And we'll see that the changes that you need to make, unlike perhaps in previous generations of technology, where you've been able to reserve the changes pretty much to a technical operations and engineering environment, you need to get all of the organisation involved in these changes that you'll be embracing. The metadata, for example, needs to come from sales or purchasing or whoever it is, who would normally be very detached from the technical operations. If you now have to rekey that metadata, that's the kind of rework that we need to try and avoid. So getting everybody involved is absolutely key to being able to make these workflows work really efficiently. And we'll talk about some of the technologies available to make that happen.